Hi guys. Haven't been able to do this in a little while, but why not? Decide we try to make a fun little video talking about the Gundam TCG deck that I took to locals and didn't necessarily win locals, but I went 2-1 and I'm actually really excited about that. It's the first time I actually have done decent at the Gundam TCG. So decided to actually bring you guys a little profile, show you how the deck works, see if I can get any suggestions. So we'll see how things go. This deck was actually really funnily put together. I actually made it the night before locals. I'd gotten some white stuff for a vegan deck of all things, which I don't even know if I'm going to make anymore. I might just make it once, take it to locals, see how it runs, and just bring you guys a profile, see what happens. But I decided to put it together with some of the Celestial Being stuff I had because I really like Gundam 00, and I actually got those structure decks, and I was rocking those for first couple of locals before I decided to get stuff in the post. So, was leaving out the vegan deck, saw the Celestial Being off in the corner, thought, I know lock-on's really good. We'll see if we can just kind of make a lock-on work with just kind of the white shell cards I got laying around. And it worked out pretty well. I went 2-1, one against, crud, what was it? It was a red-green clan, if I remember, and the other one was actually a Blurple deck was another win. Although I will be honest with you, it wasn't a traditional Blurple deck. He was running Benager Link's Unicorn Gundam stuff at the top of the curve, so it wasn't necessarily like a big. It was not like the scary menace Blurple deck, but I'm actually really happy with that result. Lost against Overlockers, but what are you gonna do? Especially considering the fact that this is actually more of a tempo deck than anything else, and tempo decks really don't do well against hard control, but we'll see where we go from here. And yeah, let's get into the deck profile. I'll explain my theory and logic as the deck profile goes on. So we'll start with the units. 3 Zawart. Zawart's just really, really good. The fact that this thing is a 3/2 blocker on a level 2 is just ridiculous. There's a reason why it's basically the best seen as the best blocker in the game. The fact that Titan Camp players doesn't really come up all that much. It can from time to time, but quite frankly, I think Zawart is probably the best blocker in the deck, and if you're playing white, you should probably honestly just be on it. And that was the only level 2 that I played. I didn't really feel the need for any more level 2s, and quite frankly, I think that was actually correct. I never found myself needing an early turn play, especially with with the list of commands that the stretch of commands that the list plays. For the level 3s, played 4 Elthrith, just great blocker. Love the 2/4 on this thing. Will say I'm not sure if I should replace these with Rick Doms. I think this is actually better. Just having the 4 defense is really, really nice. I will say that it does lose to unforeseen incident, but quite frankly, if I remember correctly, Rick Dom does too, so that's a moot point. And quite frankly, I prefer the one toughness over this anyway. Besides, it's going to kill most of the stuff that Purple's playing on the lower end of the curve anyway. So the 4 Elthrith. To get into the Celestial Being portion of the deck a little bit, we do play 4 Dynames. 4 little baby Dynames. I don't think that 4 of this was correct. In all honesty, I kind of maxed out on the Celestial Being portion. We'll get to why in a later bit, but it's because I finished the deck literally right when I got to locals. I had to do a trade in order to finish up the current construction of the deck, and because of that, I was actually playing other cards in certain slots. So the 4 baby Dynamis kind of made a little more sense in that build. But honestly, I think that this isn't actually that bad. I'd probably still play a couple of it. Just having another 2 cost was really, really nice. Having it be a 3/3 wasn't the best because you really would prefer it to be above curve in some fashion, like the Elfrith being a blocker, being a 2/4. But realistically, this was fine. Also, having another lock-on target was nice. And I kind of wanted to at least have a 2-cost Dynamis so I can have a line of Baby Dynamis, lock on a Baby Dynamis, kill a level 3, and then have 1 resource up for a command during my opponent's turn. That line didn't end up actually happening, but I still actually would probably merit it. It seems really good in theory. So we have the three Dynamis. I will say I probably will end up taking this down to two. I am at some point in the future. We will talk about other cards that I might actually play in the slot, but the four Dynamis are there. And then three Michaelis. I think this thing's called Michaelis. Neither me nor my opponents knew how to pronounce this thing, which was hilarious. But realistically, Michaelis is a really, really good unit. For those of you who don't know what this is, because it doesn't see a lot of play, it's a level 3 2 cost. It's a 3/3, but if it's has 4 more commands in the yard, it gets 8 billion health +1/+1, which makes it really above curve on at a 2 cost. Also, it has the Academy trait link, which actually is non-trivial. We actually do have an Academy pilot in the deck to pair with the lock-on. So, honestly, I think Michaelis is really, really good. I would honestly maybe even think about bumping this to 4, because there were times where this really came in clutch, just in terms of raw stats alone. So that's it for the level 3s. Pretty simple. For the level 4s, we only played one, and you knew what we were playing. It's 4 Dynamis. This card is so dumb. The fact that this is a 5/6 on Link that basically has repair 2 if it kills something, stupid, stupid, stupid. This card is fantastic, and there's a reason why if you see Lock on a deck, you're going to see 4 of this. End of the discussion. It's literally the best Link with Lock on at the moment. So we had 4 Dynamis, and then we had 4 LR structure deck Dynamis, and then we had 4 Breach Dynamis. This is the uncommon from GDO3. I don't know how I feel about this. I kind of want to take it down to 3, mostly because in my third game where I lost to O-Blockers, I saw 2 of these in my opening hand, and then I literally drew into like the third, like 2 turns later, which I know is very statistically unlikely. But realistically, I don't think that you need to be running even a 4-up of a level 5, quite frankly, in this game. Particularly, even if you're running a control deck, I just don't think it's necessary. You're going to be seeing them by the late game, particularly in this kind of a deck where you're seeing so much draw power, as we'll get to with the white cards. So, realistically, I think this could easily come down to 3, and I think that I'd be completely fine with that. I will say, other than the O-Blockers game, I didn't think I oversaw in my other 2 games, but I don't think I necessarily needed 4 of it. So, there's 3 slots available right there. And then the final 2 cards are 2 Aerial Rebuild. I love this card. I know it's not particularly good, but just being able to get back a command is really, really nice, particularly the fact that they're almost all 1 cost, which means that the pair with Soletta actually comes up quite a lot. And the fact that this just becomes a 6/6 with Soletta on it is really, really nice. It clears most things. So, honestly, I would probably play 2 Aerial Rebuild in most white decks, particularly if they're trying to go mid to late game, which is kind of the sweet spot this deck really wants to be in. So that's it for the units. We do play a good number, but we play a little bit less than you would think. It's I believe it's around 23 if I remember correctly, but we do play a lot of cards to get to them, which is important. So for our pilots, we're on 4 lock-on, because lock-on's lock-on's lock-on. This card's ridiculous. The fact that on Link on any Dynamis, it just gets to kill something that's equal or lower than the Dynamis. I will say that did kind of bite me once, because I did end up putting this on a baby Dynamis, and I'm like, oh yeah, I can't kill things bigger than 3. But realistically, that rarely comes up. This card's just fantastic. If you're playing green, it's a very, very heavy consideration. And then we'll also play 3 Soletta. Yeah, I was about to say, a lot of people will probably wonder why I'm not playing Alleluia, and quite frankly, while I do like Alleluia, I like it more for really aggressive decks that are trying to either do really early trades, or are just trying to get in really quickly because it's a level 3. This deck I wanted to go a little bit slower, and I think Soletta getting back the resources is really, really important. Being able to get excellent tempo. Especially turn 6 when you're able to get the tempo with the rebuild, getting it with the rebuild, untapping the resource, using a level 1 command. It's really, really good. So yeah, I think Slayer is really good for that. Also, the link with the Michaelis is also really nice. Just the fact that you can just do this. And if the Michaelis actually has the buff, you're looking at a 5/6. Like, that's honestly really, really nice. So, yeah, we played a 3 Soletta, and that's it for pilots. A lot of people are going to wonder why I'm not playing more pilots, and genuinely, my answer is that we're playing so much white draw that I felt as though it wasn't necessary. And honestly, for me, it kind of felt correct. I never felt as though I overdrew pilots, which is something I was really scared of, because if you lose your tempo in a tempo strategy, you're done. And sorry, just want to make sure my cat was okay. And then that's it for, so yeah, that's it for the pilots. For the commands, we're playing 4, we're playing Affection. Affection is dumb. Like, I'm gonna be blunt, this is my favorite card in the game. Which shows you what kind of player I love. I love drawing cards. As a matter of fact, there's a growing joke at our locals that just this game does not have enough draw power. Like, I think I'm playing almost every draw piece in white in this game. In this deck, and other than that, like, what is there, like, Show of Resolve, like, I think there's a Purple Grace custom that it draws, and there's a couple others that, like, draw and pitch, but that's it. So the fact that you can dig 2 with this, and pitch 1 is fantastic. The fact that this is a 1 cost, so you can untap and use it with the research you get from Soletta is fantastic. And also the fact that it allows you to play less copies of cards. Like, stuff like cards like Overflowing Affection and the other draw spell we have is the reason why I was able to play 7 pilots and get away with it. So, Overwhelming Affection, quite frankly, the best white card in the game. I don't even think that's up for consideration. Then we played 2 Unforeseen Incident. Unforeseen Incident, it's kind of weird. This was a very late include because, in this slot, and I believe a couple other ones we'll get to, I was actually playing for Tactical Visionary. Yeah, that was not going to be a good idea, particularly with the lack of Celestial Being cards that are actually in the deck. So, realistically, I kind of need a couple other spots to fill. And I was like, okay, Unforeseen Incident's at least a decent card. We'll see how it goes. This card was phenomenal. This card was ridiculous. The fact that this just basically lets you win almost every combat and not die in this deck, because almost all of your units with a pilot on them are going to be 6 toughness, was phenomenal. Especially given the fact that we play the LR Dynames. Like, just the fact that that basically means that LR Dynames just is almost not going to take damage from that fight is awesome. This was great. Especially given the fact that you can get this back with Rebuild. So you can just attack with a Rebuild, use the Soletta in order to untap the resource. After getting this back, you just tell your opponent go, and they're like, oh, so I can't kill that Rebuild unless I put 2 things into it. Like, oh my gosh, this card's great. And honestly, I don't think I played it more of a 2-of because I found it pretty much every game, at least one of them, and every time I found it, I was happy. So, Unforeseen Incident, you would think that it wouldn't be that good because it's like, oh, it's just a combat trick, but like, that card's so good. For our 4 commands, which we play the most of, 4 Awakened Potential, yes, I am playing the alt art, yes, I paid more for the alt art, and yes, I think it's the better art. Anyone who's a Kira fan can fight me in the comments, and they'll lose. But, honestly, Awakened Potential is great. It is much more of a tempo card, which is why I called this deck Tempo and not Control when I was playing it through the day. But just, this card's great. You would think that a bounce wouldn't be that good, but like Unforeseen Incident, you do just kind of realize the potential that the card has. Maybe the awakened potential the card has. Haha. As you're actually playing with it. The fact that it just kills tokens is really nice. That came up twice, actually. I was playing against Clan, and they actually had a Mav Tactics. They actually dropped Mav Tactics, and I'm like, oh, cool, so this is just a removal spell now. It also came up against Striker Pack, and those are actually, Striker Pack particularly is actually one of the better cards in the game. So the fact that it kills tokens is great. The fact that it holds off aggro until you can get to all of your Dynamuses is great. Like, Awaken Potential is just a fantastic card. It does taper off in the mid to late game, and in the O matchup, it was abysmal. I straight up had to Awaken Potential and Elfrith with a pilot on it. And for those of you who don't know, if you have a pilot on a unit, anywhere that unit goes is where the pilot goes. So I just gave them back, I believe it was Akira, and they had it, and I actually had an Ailstrike in hand, which was like, they were like, oh, that's the wrong play. I was like, so what? I was supposed to give you back the Elfrith with the Amuro on and hope you didn't have a grandpa? Like, it was just a bad situation, but honestly, I don't put down Awaken Potential. The card is really good, just not in every circumstance, but very rarely cards are. But a card that's almost good in every situation is a New Sign. Yeah, this is our other draw spell, and this card's sweet. For those of you who don't know what this card does, because this card doesn't see a ton of play, it's basically a souped up overflowing affection. It's draw 3, pitch 2. Which on a cost 3 doesn't seem particularly great, but it also does have a burst of getting back an Ayuk base, which is relevant, by the way, in this deck. And quite frankly, I think this card is really, really slept on. I love the fact that it allows you to basically play less cards, less copies of cards in your deck in order and have a reasonable amount of time to see them. So you actually get to just play different cards for different situations, which is fantastic for slower decks. I understand why it's not good, because quite frankly, aggro rules this game right now. That's why Blurple is so good. But I think a New Sign should be worth considering in any slower control deck. Or any slower white deck, rather. And then finally, we have 2 Bridge Crew. Yeah, bye. These are immediately coming out of the deck. They were not good. The concept was that there were supposed to be copies 5 and 6 of Lock-On. So the idea was that if they play a big unit the turn before, you can go, okay, cool, Bridge Crew, target that thing, attack into it, they die, get 1 or 2 attacks in on shields and go. But realistically, what ended up happening, and granted, I know it's statistically unlikely because the only time I actually found this card was in that O-Blockers game, but I literally drew this and he had all pilots. And fun fact, this card does not have a target if they have all pilots out, because you can only target things without pilots. So yeah, that wasn't great. And quite frankly, I never felt as though I needed it. Any of the other games, if I had drawn this, I probably just would have pitched it off an Overflowing Affections or New Sign anyway. Quite frankly, Lock-On was actually more than enough removal. Because what I've realized with this deck is that after you started getting in with units, your opponent would actually just kind of ended up attacking, just trying to get rid of some parts of your board. And then Lock-Ons would be able to trade really effectively. So, yeah, the Bridge Crews were bad. They're immediately coming out of the list. I did not merit them at all. And I knocked the tripod. Yay. And then the last card I played were the 4 bases, Nice and Argamas. Fun fact, I did not play all of these during the tourney. This is one of the only changes from the initial list that I played for tourney. I only had 2 Argamas, so I actually played 2 Radish, because that's all I had. But they function the same, because the only thing this is really good against is Breach, and realistically, I never played against Breach, so yeah, they ended up just being a 5 toughness base, which is good enough. So that's it for the deck profile. Yeah, I really love this deck. It performed really, really well, but I kind of actually want to talk about some of the cards that I wanted to take out and some of the cards I actually want to put in instead. So that would be this trash. I'm sorry, like, it's not good, particularly with Lock-On. It's just kind of redundant. And then at least one of these. And then honestly, probably at least some number of the Dynames. I'd probably keep at least a couple in, but realistically, I think that these are it. I'll put out all 4 Dynames just for her. Just for discussion's sake. So these are the cards that'll come out. What I was talking about other players about putting cards in this deck I got a couple suggestions for a Striker pack, which is really, really good card. Just 2 cost, make a blocker token. It's really, really good, especially considering the fact that it just has burst in order to do its main effect for the most part. So that was a consideration, but the problem is that those are money. They're like $5, so I was like, I'm not sure about that one, Chief, especially in the fact that if you hadn't noticed, if you get the structure decks, this deck's actually make it cheap if you actually just get 2 of the Celestial Being Structure. And on top of it, I'm not sure what I would actually take out for the other 4, because this Dynamis would definitely come out in that instance. Another suggestion I got actually was playing 3 Kira, and then playing 4 of the Ale Strike, the one from the structure. But the problem with that is it's also $20. That one's almost $20. So I was like, geez, that's rough. We were talking, hoping that it was actually going to be in the new structure deck that's coming out at the end of March, but STO9. But it's like, nope, not getting that. So yeah, that's probably not going to happen, even though it might be actually the correct move for the deck. But in all honesty, what I'm actually thinking about doing is playing the 2 Kira and the 1 Soletta when the structure comes out, and then probably keeping 2 of these Dynamis in, and playing 2 of the new Freedom, the one that has blocker and gets suppression if you have a base out. Might actually play that, especially given the fact that because New Sign gets back in AU base, you can realistically think that you're actually going to have a base out almost all the time, which was the case in playing more often than not. So that's probably the changes that I'll actually make. I want to know in the comment section what you guys would think about that, and if there's any other suggestions, and if you guys actually want me to bring you a deck profile of that deck and see how it performs. But yeah, that's it for the deck profile. Overall, actually, I really, really like this deck. I think it's, quite frankly, fantastic. And I actually really, really like playing it. And I'll probably just keep playing it, at least until the new structure comes out. Because while I'm not a biggest fan of, of Sea Destiny, quite frankly, I actually really like how that deck looks to be performing in theory. So, yeah, thank you for watching, and take care. Bye.